News Center this morning, which says crowds rally against state tyranny abuse. Petition condemns selective justice, intimidation, political persecution, attack on free speech, etc. This is from the NPP's Democracy Under Attack demonstration yesterday. MTN doubles Heroes of Change prize money to 1.8 million cedis. Story on page 6. Ghana's gold economy tests strength of financial system. IMF is saying there's no more forgotten lessons from tragedy. The president speaking yesterday, and we'll hear from the president as well yesterday. 93% of youth fear armed groups may enter Ghana. It's a story on page 3 of the News Center newspaper. It's a study by a foundation making these revelations. On the back page, BOG governor proposes business rescue fund, tailored pensions vital for informal sector and diaspora, according to Fidelity Bank. Access Bank signs equipment financing deal with Mantra. The Punch Africa, fare thee well, fallen heroes. There's a picture of the 8. Samit Jemfi dismisses Kofi Bentil's 200 million theft claims. Ato forcing to floor Baumia by 22%. Global Info poll. NPP's defense of Wuntumi exposes criminal culture. Tony Edu. They also have a bust of Dr. Ofusu Ampofo's father to be laid to rest this weekend. Now, the Free Press tagline, the martyr of Ghana's press freedom since 1979, say that echo currency to be launched in July 2027. West African currency. 215 million deal through UK-Ghana Growth Partnership. Daily Post, President Mahama urges Ghanaians to honor departed public servants through integrity and national service. Sisi Kwenu earns doctorate degree in business administration. GMTF, that's the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, partners MDS Lancet Quest Medical Imaging to expand quality diagnostic health care. Let me do the Inquisitor, and then I'll have Helen join in with the paper she has as well. 22 billion cedis lost. Gold board crushing Ghana's economy. IMF sounds alarm. Apenyo Markin gives 100 laptops to Efutu teachers. Stop diluting constitutional reforms, government told. Professor Bafwa Jimendia. It's on the front page. BC results. Crisis deepens as NAPS hunt evidence nationwide. Baumia speaks for Ghanaians, says democracy must free citizens from fear. Mahama's ruthless pledge against Galamsey fails as Ghana remembers chopper crash victims. In this issue, ISA flags weak economy, identifies 5 fault lines as causative factors. Those are the details of the front pages as I have it. And big good mornings to Helen, who's very well made up this morning.
Yes, good morning. The left lash is refusing to cooperate, but I think we'll be able to get through the morning.
What's the occasion? I love the skin when it comes, but today you're very well made up.
Yes, the skin is, as you know, shea butter.
Yeah.
We're talking about that yesterday.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We all need to use some pure shea butter. None of this perfumed kind of mininis on the market. Just pure.
Undiluted.
Undiluted. The pure stuff that our mothers and sisters and cousins work so hard to procure up north. DJ Phil, do you use shea butter? Okay, I can tell. Skin that it can say daho and I daso. whatever the case may be. Good morning. It's a glorious Friday morning. I'm made up because, I'm coming to work and I want to give you guys a little treat, something beautiful to look at. And for those of you that are watching us online as well, both on Facebook and YouTube, good morning.
Circle.
No, I'm not shooting.
You're not shooting ladies.
No.
Today.
I just woke up today and
came in and you decided to look bright.
I just decided to go and find my makeup bag and put something beautiful together.
Very good looking, I must say. I've enjoyed looking at you. I mean,
whoa.
No, I mean, coming here every day. Let's not. I'm trying to put it in context. You always come in, not to say that it's any different, but I raised my head and I saw, okay.
You know what? It's interesting because sometimes I hear a lot of men saying that they prefer ladies with the natural.
I fall in that category.
You like the more natural look.
Yeah, I fall in that category.
But ladies,
because that's what you wake up to every morning, ain't it?
That's true. So, that's very, very true.
You don't wake up to
what they call full blown makeup.
You wake up to...
And that's why some gentlemen will say, on the first day, take her to a swimming date. These days, the makeup is waterproof. Let me tell you, the mascara is waterproof. The foundation... In fact, these days, you can even tattoo. You can tattoo the lipstick, the eyebrows, even eyeliner. You can tattoo it on. That's permanent makeup.
Permanent makeup.
So you tattoo the eyebrow. You can tattoo on the eyeliner. Even I think the foundation, they have some kind of airbrush mechanism that they use so that fully it looks like you are wearing makeup. So
technology is advancing in those areas.
The pool dates, it's not going to solve your problem. That's all for the look of you.
You have a number of papers. Before I take us online as well, let's go through that.
All right, let's do that. Let's get into the Inquisitor newspaper this morning. A year after tragic helicopter crash, victims remembered, and we have the 8 men who were aboard the Z9, August 6, 2025, that crashed. Pictured here. Of course, yesterday we had a comprehensive coverage of that. Stop press. Massive chop at local government institutes. That's the story here on the front page. Napo speaks at 2026 Buzia Institute lecture in UK on Sunday. I was going to say, I haven't heard from Napo in a while. That's Dr. Matthew Prempe. What was his last role before he left government?
He was energy minister until he became the running mate.
Okay.
He left the position as energy minister, but he was still a member of parliament until that 8th term of parliament died a natural death.
Are we going to see the coming back of Napo for a 2028 bid?
Last year, was it last year or was it this year? I can't quite recall. During an event in Parliament, either the budget reading or State of the Nation address, he was there, and then the Ashanti Caucus MPs were singing Napoana Yepe, Napoana Yepe. So, and they were done with their... So I think it was this year, right? They were done with their... Because the NPP's primary was this year. And then the president did State of the Nation address. That was when the Ashanti Regional Caucus were singing Yepe Napoana Yepe. Yes. So it suggests there are conversations already as to who becomes running mate, and his name will come up strongly. Okay, very interesting.
I haven't heard him speak in a while, but he's going to be in the UK on Sunday speaking at a lecture. Finally, Ofusuampofo's father joins ancestors tomorrow. The Ghanaian Point. They say they're accurate, they're firm and reliable. What are they telling us this morning? Well, I see the president pictured here. He says, "We'll stand with you." Mahama commemorates August 6 crash victims. Vows lessons will not be forgotten. And that was a big takeaway from yesterday's commemoration. What have we really learned? And hopefully the demise of these 8 individuals will be that catalyst that we need, or we would have hoped it would have been. What strides are being made to stop Galamsey? Well, you and I will live to see. WAEC rejects claims of marking down private school candidates in BEC results. And this conversation about BEC results, The NAT president, what's his name? It's
the general
me.
secretary.
The general secretary is
Thomas Musa Tanko.
Yeah, Thomas. Was he the one that said the children have stopped eating? Yesterday, I think on the news, he said some of the children are so disappointed they've stopped eating, and when children refuse to eat, it's a different matter.
It's a serious matter.
All right,
it's a serious matter.
We'll get into it. They said the children don't want to eat; they are heartbroken.
The private schools are alleging that there's some discrimination against them in terms of how the results have come out. Here's one thing that I know from insider conversations these days. Right, because of placement, there's an interesting phenomenon happening within the basic schools.
I see.
You do private school all the way up. When it's time to write, you're taken from the private school and you register as a public student.
Oh.
And then you write. When you do well, so it suggests that public schools, if you do well in the Abine schools or the public schools, chances of you getting your first choice and all of that is higher. And so that is something. So I look at what I heard in that regard and this latest claim by the private schools, and I'm asking myself,
is that what is going on? I see. So that's the way you game the system.
Because they've been going forcefully. And yesterday, WAEC was speaking and said that the public should ignore any such claims that there's a discrimination against private schools and all of that. But I have this info in the background. And
wait, it actually happened. So you want your kid to actually get their preferred school, you go and register them under a public school so that they write. When they do well, the chances are better.
Because they've received all of the education and the training at the private school. When it's just time for the exams. They write it under a public school and then they make progress.
Stop Galamsey to truly honor helicopter crash victim. Samuel Wuku tells government. This is off the back of the Democracy Under Attack demonstration organized by the new Patriotic Party yesterday. Finish their work. Samuel Abuaji's widow urges action against Galamsey to honor the departed. I was listening to her yesterday. This is the widow of one of the individuals who lost his life last year with that helicopter crash. And she says the waters are still polluted. The forests are still being ravaged. What really are we doing to honor these men who are going on this very important national assignment to stop this canker? We are still ingesting Galamsey.
Infested in whatever.
Anyway, moving on. Democracy Under Attack protesters petition Supreme Court, Presidency, and the Presidency over alleged selective justice. Again, that was yesterday. And presidential staffer Nanaya Jantwa received that petition. Afenyo Markin says, with all due respect,
your favorite word, Basbos.
Basbos. It's not what he said, you are not who I expected to see. She also returned in kind. She says, thank you for telling me I'm a nobody. Anyway, let's move on to the Daily Gist.
We'll hear that soundbite.
Absolutely. Lawyers boycott CJ legal vacation trials. Full story captured on page 8. CRC chair unhappy with government approach. I'll join NDC presidential race. Asiedun Ketia drops hint on 2028 ambition. NPP soaks Accra with Democracy Under Attack demonstration. Slams Mahama over third term agenda. That's also something that I heard Minority Leader Fenyo Marking hinting at during that interaction with Nanaya Jantwa. He says that third term that he said you guys are pushing La Ila. He says Enfa.
No, you see, on that score alone, I don't know why we continue to have the conversation to start off with. The man at the center of it all, the man, if there is a third term he will contest, has said, I'm not interested in a third term. Unless they are saying they are picking suggestions elsewhere that all the president says in public is a charade.
And but then behind closed doors, maybe there's something else.
Yeah,
but I don't know about that.
He said it twice, he said it thrice, that he's not interested in a third term. The chairman of the NDC has said, look, any amendments to anything in relation to term limits will put the country towards the path of other democracies within the West African sub-region, which are suffering military dictatorship and coups and all of that. So at the hierarchy, and these are two very important individuals, at least within the architecture of the NDC. The president who won the election on the ticket of the NDC saying 3 times that I am not interested in a third term, so I'm not interested in the conversation. I am hoping to finish my term and leave a legacy. If you were to take away the president in terms of the hierarchy, the national chairman of the NDC comes. And he, in recent interview, has suggested that we cannot tamper with term limits because that could open a Pandora's box as to what happens to all of us. So let's not countenance it. In fact, the third person, the general secretary, described anybody who is making a push like that as sycophants and use very harsh words on them, suggesting a third term. So if these 3 people have all come forward, and that's what I say, unless they have seen something, otherwise
you don't have to talk too much. I mean, perhaps this is a politically engineered conversation to maybe cause disaffection for the president. Perhaps I'm just doing my own analysis because it's being pushed from the other side of the divide that this third term agenda, maybe the NPP is hoping that if they repeat it many a time, it will finally stick. And then people might say, well, actually, the president is seeking a third term. But it's not even up to the president. The people, I think, are loud and clear. You will vote. It's not up to Party A or Party B.
Yeah, there was a poll by Global Info Analytics as well, which had a majority of respondents say they don't support any third term bid. So, I mean, politics, whether or not politics, we will see.
Absolutely.
Right? We will see.
NPP tears into president's fuel price politics. And you've got Kojo Nkrumah pictured here on the front page. Is he a ranking member on one of the committees?
He's ranking on the economic committee.
Aha, okay.
Kojo Nkrumah.
So, you know, he's been speaking on what he calls fuel price politics, whether or not the government's bid to absorb some of the fuel pricing is simply, you know, for the optics, or if there's real substance to that. And really what you and I should be interrogating is the long term, what happens in the long term, and whether these sort of measures really go a long way to cushion the average Ghanaian. We welcome any price cuts, but we know a lot goes into the price buildup of fuel, levies, taxes, the state of the city at any given time, of course, world prices. But again, the last time we had that conversation and we showed you the graph around, was it April, May, when the crude oil prices on the world market were hovering around $114, the price is almost reflecting what it is now at $80. What is the difference? The city is not performing as well as it was in April. It's a conversation to be had. I see the city, you know, starting to wobble a little bit, the legs of the city shaking a little bit. I'm sure it's a conversation that will crop up in due course.
You're done with the papers?
That's right.
The Daily Guide is here. Big banner story. Democracy under attack demo. NPP storms Jubilee House, presents petition under protest. Mahama urges recognition of public servants. NDC sets December 19 for national executive elections.
December when?
December 19.
Why the hey?
I have a suspicion it might clash with something I might be engaged in around that time. So it's a personal hey for me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's a personal hey, right? Lawyers protest selective court vacation sitting. That story as well has made its way to a number of front pages. 1 year after helicopter tragedy, nation remembers fallen heroes. As a picture of the president with the background of the Yates. That's the big banner story on the Ghanaian Times newspaper this morning. Inflation drops further to 4.6% in July. It's down from the 5.3% which was recorded in June. All right. 2 Nigerians sentenced to 20 years for human trafficking and flood prevention measures. GARC, Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, enforces 50-meter waterway buffer rule. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, that story about the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council is there, and Ayawaso East Municipal Assembly supports 51 persons with disability. I'm going to take us online right now, and then we begin to get a bit more in terms of details. The missing gold board cash, exclusive details. That's on 3news.com. Go on to 3news.com and read for yourself details from there. Inflation for housing, water, and electricity and gas rose 8.3% in July, despite the nosedive in inflation. Also, photos. President Mahama unveiled cenotaph for Maneboama 1 year after helicopter crash. Lower inflation is not lower prices. The relief is in the pace, not yet in the price tag. Government statistician. Forestry Commission officials arrest 12 illegal miners for operating in Bosomtwe Range Forest Reserve. That's on 3news.com. MyJoyOnline.com. Ghana has over 5 weeks of fuel in reserve. NPA moves to calm fears over Middle East tensions. Omaneboama stood by me through defining moment of my political journey. President Mahama. Politicians are not above the law. Stop politicizing prosecutions. Professor Ajimendria. Mahama describes late Dr. Omaneboama as one of a rare kind at cenotaph unveiling. Ghana's politics is on a slippery path over criminal prosecutions. Professor Bafo Ajimendria. City Newsroom, nobody will read it. Bande dismisses NPP's demo petition. Oh, nobody will read it, saying. He says nobody will read it.
Oh, I heard Nanaya Janswa saying it is going straight to the president. I'm sure he'll read it.
Charlie.
I'm sure he'll read it.
Charlie.
I think
Bande is trying to pour sun in the agare. Top stories also on City Newsroom. Freight forwarders seek extension of mandatory ICOMS registration deadline. Kolebu struggling to cope with the rising emergency case. A&E head, as well as who is he to disrespect me? Nanaya Jantwa to petition Bagman over Apenyo Markin's comments. Akando. Faith-based groups can help deliver Agenda 111 hospitals, and woman jailed 3 years for abducting baby at Pando Market. Ghana Web, that is what a responsible president should do. Abena Soyasa throws challenge to Mahama. Nanaya Jantua responds to Apenyo Markin after addressing him as a nobody, addressing her as a nobody. Did democracy matter when you were in power? Manasseh Azure tears into NPP-backed protests. Really? If you are above an assemblyman, I am not. Kokofu claps back at Okatechi Efrifa, and if there is God, he will deal with it. Emotional Nanaya Jantua summons Apenyo Markin to God. So those are the details. Fred, let's start off with the protest, right? There were a number of things which came up from there. We have a bit of sounds, right? We don't do sights and scenes and sounds for persons who are online, but a bit more in terms of sounds for persons who were with us here on radio. And here's what they've been saying, at least from that petition which was presented yesterday by the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo Markin.
As is expected, the chief of staff or the deputy or a very senior member of government under the circumstances should have been part of this discourse and to lead it. We feel that with great respect to you and without prejudice to your presence, to nominate only you to come amount to disrespecting us as a political party. The history of this country tells us one thing, that no political party stays in power forever. You promised creating jobs, 1 job, 3 shifts, 24-hour economy. You promised that electricity tariffs would be lower. You promised that cocoa prices would go up. Today, we're seeing the opposite of it. Instead, you are bullying, intimidating your political opponent. Why should Wuntumi be in prison? What has he done? But you see, there's an election ahead of us, 2028. Unfortunately, Mr. President is not going to stand election again. This third-term agenda you guys are pursuing, has failed. It will not going to happen. It will not happen. So you're going to have your own difficulty, looking at how you have failed the people of Ghana. And you are definitely going to be in opposition. Would you be happy if such a thing happened to some of your members? So these are things I want you to think about. The choice is yours as a government. If you think you are going to be in power forever because you have 189 in parliament, so be it. But we are saying democracy is under attack, and let's all take steps as players in the governance structure to correct it, to make Ghana a better place.
This is democracy at hand. If the NPP today had been able to come to the Flagstaff House to present their petition, then I'm saying that democracy is at its utmost. Everybody knows what today is. Today is a day of memorial for the 8th gallant fell. And I'm happy that honorable leader is saying that I am a nobody. But I want to assure you that I'm a senior member of government, and this petition will directly get to the president. And they should also remember that in this country there are laws. There are laws that is put together to help us regulate our lives and our being.
We are determined in our resolve, and we are united in our position as far as challenging today's status quo, the arbitrary arrest, putting democracy under stress and under siege. This was not what Akufo-Addo led for John Mahama. Today in Ghana, what the youth are asking for is a 24-hour economy, not a 24-hour arrest system, intimidation by police, and the architecture of the security forces. That is not what we want as a country. So we presented a petition to the judiciary, the arms of government. We leave one with parliament, and we bring in one to also the executive. We know that what is going to the executive will amount to nothing. But for the records, we want to state that today, being the 6th of August, the year of our Lord, together with many Ghanaians, hundreds and thousands of them, we march to the seat of government to register our displeasure to the ongoing intimidation and the arrest, which is a 24-hour system that they are conducting.
We just want to remind that no dictator emerges from nowhere and foists dictatorship on the people. It starts gradually. Sometimes the people at the helm of affairs are not even aware. Sometimes it's intentional. We want to believe that the president perhaps has not done serious introspection on what is going on. Because the arrests that are going on, the selectivity involved, even with prosecution, government comes and the first thing that he does within the first 4 months in administration is to file nolle prosequi, in respect of all people of high visibility.
One would say that those are matters of the law.
Those are matters of the law. Has anybody told you the grounds for the filing of the nolle prosequi? Has anybody told you that? So you see, as I was saying, they begin gradually. When you wake up from your slumber, then many things would have happened. Which is why we want to remind the executive, which is why we want to remind the judiciary, which is why we want to remind parliament, which is why we want to remind corporate Ghana that what is happening is not the best.
There is a reset rule of law, a reverse rule of law, that immediately they assume power, they enter nolle prosequi, that all the ministers of NDC who had been arraigned before the court by President Akufo-Addo's attorney general should be set free. Now, if some people should be set free, you now turn around and we're arresting people. And we don't say you shouldn't arrest people, but there should be decency. Why should somebody who is coming into the country be arrested at the Kotoka International Airport? The man is already coming into the country. Why should he be arrested at the Kotoka International Airport? Then he gets to Yoko, and they tell you that go and bring the moon as a basis of your bail. As if we don't understand what bail is all about. But this situation it's not promoting good governance. That is why we are all marching that if he wants to leave a good legacy, he should be seen as a father of the nation and not to program some people for prosecution. You come and look at the situation in which we are on legal vacation, and the CJ says that, oh, 2 courts should sit.
Yes.
And there were some special cases, as part heads, not as motions. All the rest of the courts are resting. Why these two ones? Is it a way to hurry them to imprisonment? Is it an ambulance trial? We want this nation to uphold, the president to uphold the rule of law, and we all be better off for it.
And there is that peculiar case involving Sedina Tamakula. Having read excerpt of the judgment, basically saying that the prosecution failed to prove all the claims against her beyond reasonable doubt. Now you have the AG say he's filing to stay the execution and also appeal the decision of the Court of Appeal. Don't you think that is a step in the right direction?
What step in the right direction? Did they really read the case in the court below? Even this lady was not there to put up any defense. How can you say that the case has not been proven beyond every reasonable doubt? And then when even you say you've brought the lady into the realm, she was sleeping under air conditions instead of going to jail. The product of the extradition, proceedings they did, is for the woman to come and rest in comfort. So we leave it to the AG to do what he's supposed to do. But I could tell you that it's a charade of justice, and it will come out.
So you don't think that there will be any better outcome from the Supreme Court's determination at the end of the day?
Let's leave it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court should uphold the law. We trust them to do so.
Things properly, not just listen to what he's being told, but then he should see things for himself. Clearly, we kept talking about the gold board and the issues there. I mean, in some cases, they even come out to, say all kinds of unprintable words, use all kinds of unprintable words on the minority. But now it is clear. So when it comes from the IMF, yes, it is news they will listen to. But when it comes from we, the minority, who have also seen the same thing, they have a problem with it. All we are asking is that, look here, we have limited resources. Let us use the limited resources wisely, efficiently, for the benefit of the larger population. And not just, see, let me tell you, the small gold miners, they don't even sell gold and make losses. How much more an established nation, an established organization like the Gold Board, for Bank of Ghana to make a loss on your behalf to the tune of 1.7 billion. And we all sit and watch and say, let the minority go on a demonstration before we ask questions. Please, that is why we are all here. We are all part and parcel of this nation. We are all building a better Ghana for ourselves. And that is why we are asking, ask the right questions. We will also ask the right questions and demand the right answers. President must put his foot down and do what is right. He told us somewhere last year that if a state entity is not doing well, he will close that state entity down. He said it. The president mentioned this in one of his addresses. And so if things are going the way they are going, where one state enterprise, state entity causes a whole Bank of Ghana to make a loss to the tune of $1.7 billion. It's not billion cedis, $1 billion. Mr. President, walk the talk. Walk the talk. That is all we are asking of you. And clearly, you also look at the judicial system in this country now. It's like it is selective in a way. All we are asking is go by the rule book. Because we cannot have a nation where we don't go by the rules that we have set for ourselves. So we are asking the president, let them go by the rule book. People don't just wake up one day and give, bail conditions that are clearly not right. That are way over and above even what the crimes they have committed. All we are asking is, Mr. President, let the people go by the rule book. It is true that the people of Ghana have given one party 2/3. It is something the Constitution never ever envisaged that it will happen. But yes, it has happened. And so we expect them to use this and use it properly to the benefit of the larger nation and not abuse this. Oh, that's all we are asking. Recently, you saw the Cocoa Board Amendment Bill. That now you are asking cocoa farmers that if they dare decide to change the use of their cocoa farms for something else, they ought to come to Cocoa Board and seek permission. Mia Masasi, Mia Major Padie.
Facebook sights and sounds, right, from that protest from yesterday. Let us know what you think, even before I go to Helen, who is raving and eager to say a word or two. Let us know what you think. 053-220-0927. 053-220-0927. And quite the comments from yesterday as well, Helen, that Abner Sayasare want to end it all. Really was trying to jab as much as she can. What you made of everything that transpired yesterday in terms of the protest? I know you've had concerns as to the fact that, I won't call it concerns, but how should I describe
maybe
it?
A minor gripe. Okay.
Right, so
maybe
a gripe as to the fact that now they can go to the Jubilee House when they were preventing others from going to the Jubilee House in the past.
But, I'm even ready to retire that conversation. It is what it is. We move on. We're in a new era. And as I also mentioned yesterday, the NPP is exercising that constitutional right to demonstrate, one that, you and I also have, and it's good. Every thriving democracy has dissent as a core pillar because we can't all agree. One person sees things from this lens, the other person sees it from an entirely different lens. And so they made their way to the Jubilee House and presented that petition. So, beyond the issue of the NPP's assertion that democracy is under attack, if you were listening to Honorable Abna Osasa, she also mentions, other things concerning the economy. I'm not sure what committee she sits on. She is part of the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes,
that's
she's
right.
a chair of the Public Accounts Committee.
That's right. So we've seen her in action.
She'll be a member of the Finance Committee as well because she's a former finance minister.
That's right.
Will not be in leadership on that committee, but she's a member of the Finance Committee.
That committee. Fantastic. So she also had cause to talk about some of the economic happenings and what she said should be the president's focus at this time. So it was a myriad of issues. At the center of the demonstration was this assertion also that justice is being hurried for political opponents. So we know that there's the legal vacation happening, which ends in September, I believe. Mauna, am I correct? September?
Yes, into early October.
However, if you also listen to Honorable Atachia, he says that there is some expedition of certain cases, and it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't just be the case that the Chief Justice is asking that this legal vacation be suspended for certain cases. It should cut across. What is the rush? Is there a rush to jail political opponents? But for the citizenry, I don't know if they would look at it exactly through that lens, because I think we get tired of hearing that the wheels of justice grind slowly. We spend so much time ruminating over this charge and that charge, and this person has stolen this, and hey, boy. And so if we're finally seeing some action, of course the citizenry will be excited about that. Where I do agree is that it shouldn't be seen to be selective. And maybe, I don't know if you can begrudge the New Patriotic Party that assertion, because the optics, appear that of all the cases, why is it that these are the particular cases that are being, seemingly expedited, if you catch my drift. So some of the issues that are raised, certainly I think we can ponder on. And one may say there's certainly a case to be answered by officialdom. Is it really selective justice? You and I can weigh in on that. But as far as I'm concerned, I would love to see a conclusion to these cases and not simply be reporting on it and they've gone to courts, they're out of courts, this has been filed, that has been filed. We have to see the wheels turning. This government came into power on the back of oral Operation Recover or Loot. And I think we're seeing some more energy in that regard. Should it be only energetic as far as political opponents are concerned? No. And that's what I think.
Right. I think in relation to the protest, right, there's been a number of persons who speak on matters in relation to national issues, who have all suggested that the theme for the demonstration perhaps they didn't agree with. I've seen Manasseh Azuri Awone write in relation and asking the question whether democracy really is under attack and if a title for a demonstration of such a nature is right. So he draws comparisons from in the past when they were in power as to journalists having to flee the country, because he had to flee personally, amongst other things, and says that by all means some of the arrests and subsequent convictions of persons are things that should be condemned by all, and in fact he's condemned it. What he disagrees with is the fact that it is being championed, or comments like these are being championed by the NPP, because they were doing it not so long ago. And so if it wasn't wrong then when they were defending it, why are they seeking to make a lot of noise about it? I think what we can all converge around really is that some of the arrests, right, have not quite sat well with well-meaning persons in society, irrespective of whether or not you believe the NPP should be the ones making the noise. I mean,
that's right.
You can argue simply that some of it, right, because some of the comments which are just insult should not warrant arrest and what have you. I say some which are just insult because in some of the very vile things we've heard people say are threats, and those completely enter different realms, because across different jurisdictions, the moment you're making threatening comments against anybody, in fact, I think we were seeing on, was it this week, somewhere, Wednesday thereabout, there was a newspaper headline as to if you threaten somebody, you could go as high as 25 years in prison and all of that. Making threats don't fall into the realms of free speech. That we have to be very straightforward about. Making threats don't fall in the category of free speech. And so, by all means, let's separate it. That's why I don't have the stomach to listen to some of those things. And so, I've been able to, it's been a challenge differentiating who was just insulting and who was just threatening, and who was insulting and threatening, right? Because some of the people who were arrested, they were threatening whilst insulting. And I'm sorry, but we can have conversations about free speech, and I will absolutely make comments in support of free speech, but I will not support anybody who's threatening the life of anybody, right? But because some of the things are so vile, I can't play them to myself and listen to. And so I've struggled to differentiate who was just saying vile things, who should be sued for all they are worth, and then someone who was making threatening comments. That's why on the start, the get-go, I say, deal with persons who are making threats. By all means, deal with them, because there are so many laws, and even the police have been telling we, the ordinary citizens, that you can't go and be threatening your neighbor. You will be dealt with because that's a threat. Then those who are just insulting, that falls in the realm of free speech. If they are saying things which are not true and all of that, by all means, misdemeanors, right? Have them dealt with and taken care of in that respect, and as well.
Maybe you want to go the civil route. Maybe you're thinking about defamation, that sort of thing. That's also separate.
That should be separate as well. So we can converge around that table and say that we all condemn some. I've sat here not once, not twice, say that don't be arresting persons who are just saying stuff, right? No matter how distasteful they may sound, right? We should not go into those areas. As distasteful as they may sound, we should not go into those areas. But let us also preach a bit more in terms of decency. Both parties, particularly the NDC in opposition, enjoyed from this. Yes, some of their people were picked up and were arrested. I think this week on Monday, I was reading clippings of an NDC organizer who had been sentenced for making comments in that regard. But it suggests there's a reward system which exists for people who can go on social media and say all sorts of unprintable words. At the top, the people who lead the party don't do that. So I wonder why they allow the followers go onto social media and use unprintable words on people. I've seen Leonard Council, Samson Ladianyin, go on Facebook, write up a piece. Not a piece. He sought to make the Sedina Tamaklo easy to understand for the ordinary person. People took it as his opinion, and went on his page raining all sorts of insults. Since when did that become a part of us? Since when did you disagreeing with someone over something mean you should be insulting them? Since when? I always tell folks that the house I grew up in, you can't be insulting somebody. And I'm saying the house I grew up in because now you're having to question where else people grew up in.
Oh. And when you do this kind of work, look, sometimes I can clip something, put it on my social media, return in 10 minutes, and the kind of unprintable insults that have been rained over my head. But Marina, we've had this culture of political supporters feeling like that is the way maybe to catch the eye of those at the top. Was it at the top of the year we saw one such person that was arrested actually catching the eye of the flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party?
Yes.
Aha. So maybe that's the thinking that the more...
I mean, it's been one of the criticism, right? Yeah. That it seems there's a welcome embrace awaiting anybody who's able to do that, amongst other things.
Thank you.
I mean, Solomon Owusu and the NDC have continued to make that argument that is what is emboldening people to consistently go onto social media and do that. But depending on where you stand, you can raise that argument. But again, I will make the point: since when did disagreeing with someone, sometimes it's just regular conversation, someone just say I disagree with you and this is why I disagree with you, that's a foolish and person will just come and rain insults and go. The fact that you disagree, even on Facebook, when you go on to Parliament stream, when there are debates on the floor and people do not agree, they are insulting.
Ooh, let me tell you, and I always keep the comments on the side of the page. Amanda, you also see that thing?
I see it. Even on our own socials, when we are live on 3FM, YouTube, Facebook, you see people coming.
Some of the comments, you just let, for example, I haven't mentioned any names, and some people stand up to speak on the floor of Parliament. I can predict what the chat box is going to look like. I don't know.
No, but it's very, very distasteful.
Much so.
Very. And it raises serious concerns in terms of where we are going as a people. The fact that at the slightest, in terms of a disagreement, the option is to insult instead of present a counter opinion. For me, I don't see why that should become the means through which you respond to someone you disagree with. We need to find a way to have that all come to a halt, because I don't know. But yesterday as well marked another. I mean, we're talking about it all throughout the day, particularly for us here in the morning. A year on since the incident involving the Gallant 8. The president spoke at a number of places during the unveiling of the cenotaph for Dr. Omane Boame, and as well as at the interdenominational event. You have a story in relation to that, or I wanted to have us listen first.
Let's listen and
let's
we'll come back.
do the story first.
Okay.
And then we'll listen and then we'll come back.
Most certainly. I mean, this one caught my eye. It's on the front page of the Ghanaian Points. Finished their work, Samuel Abuaje's widow urges action against Galamsey to honor the departed aides. Now, the widow of the late Deputy Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Samuel Abuaje, has called on Ghanaians and authorities to intensify the fight against illegal mining, saying decisive action against Galamsey would be the greatest tribute to the 8 people who died in last year's military helicopter crash. Mrs. Abigail Abuaje made the call during the National Interfaith Memorial Service held on Thursday, August 6, 2026, to mark 1 year since the tragic incident that claimed the lives of 8 public officials and military personnel. According to her, the departed officials were committed to protecting Ghana and serving its people, and their memory must be honored through practical efforts underlined 10 times, rather than only ceremonies and speeches. And this is where I tuned into her speaking yesterday. She said, Samuel died on his way to a fight that is not yet finished. The rivers he was going to defend are still being poisoned. The land is still bleeding. She said, the truest tribute we can pay these 8 is not a speech. It is to finish their work. Please do not let this be the last year we remember them.
And we can listen to her, and then when we return, I think those will be the conversations after 1 year, right? Whether we're letting their death just go down the drain. Yes, Samuel Abuaje's wife, right? Speak, and then we'll hear from the president as well in relation to what transpired from a year on.
Samuel died on his way to a fight that is yet not finished. The rivers he was going to defend are still being poisoned. The land is still bleeding. The truest tribute we can pay these 8 is not a speech. It is to finish their work. Please, do not let this be the last year we remember them. And Yola, as I call you, I want you to know that God has held me. On the days I could not even pray, He carried me throughout the pain.
None of them boarded that helicopter, expecting that it will be their final journey. Like countless public servants every day, they set out to perform their duties. They left behind unfinished conversations, appointments they expected to keep, families they expected to return to, and dreams they believed they still had time to fulfill. That is perhaps the greatest lesson this anniversary teaches us. For me, this immortalization of Omani's memory is deeply personal. He was a friend, a younger brother, a loyalist, and a close advisor. His loyalty and love for me was undoubted. He stood by my side through all momentous occasions of my political career. Omani was a great human being. His kind is difficult to find in our world today.
Every year, as the significance of their death, there was a certain phrasing continues to dwindle in the heart of those who were close to them. They will not forget them. But they ask questions about what is happening as to the fight, because they were going to an event in relation to illegal mining.
That's right.
3FM
and
92.7.
They unfortunately suffered harrowing nature. It's a horrible way to die. Let's not even come and remember anybody of the pain and the anguish and all of that, right? But what is happening 1 year on? The Foreign Affairs Minister, after a cabinet meeting, had said that we were going to see a relentless war ever waged by the president against illegal mining after the death of the 8. Some of the papers are carrying the story and saying that we have failed spectacularly in honoring the memory of these 8 in that regard. So, after all is said and done, 1 week of activities to remember them, are we going back to the same things of old in terms of how we deal effectively with illegal mining? It's one of the many questions that we must look ourselves hard and ask. And we must ask the persons in charge. Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Dr. Ama Kofi. He was at the event. In fact, when that report is playing, for those who, you can go onto Facebook and you see the reaction when he got the news that there had been a helicopter crash. The shock on his face that day He could not believe it. And he knew at that moment that something had gone wrong, and it was going to be very difficult for anybody to have survived. I want the full report because you see his reaction, right? You see, for those on Facebook, you see his reaction when the news got to them that, look, this had happened, and he sat down in his head.
3FM.
He was looking into the sky, asking himself questions, amongst other things. That was his reaction.
Shock.
When the news came to him that look at, he couldn't believe it, right? A year on, it must not be that they died in vain. Yes, arrests are being made. Kingpins they are going after kingpins. I think in the Ashanti region somewhere last year, Adansia Sokwa, Agenda 111 hospital site, there was illegal mining happening there. They picked up the alleged kingpin behind that. That person's name should have been published by now. The Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, they should have published the person's name by now. The arrests are happening, right? It was near a school. The arrests are happening. But the question is, until all of it ends, we can all sit around this table and comfortably say that we are allowing their death go in vain if we are unable to stop the activities of Galamsey. There's a World Bank report which will be part of the conversations this morning, which talks about how artisanal small-scale mining has increased over the last few years. Since 2004, its contribution to gold output has been increasing, and it is coming at great cost to environment, land degradation,
to you and I, to our
cocoa
health,
production.
everything.
The World Bank report speaks to that directly.
Perhaps we need to be reminded of what the real dangers that you and I are facing really are. We talk about the turbidity levels, and I mean, the issue of Galamsey spreads its tentacles to pretty much every sphere of this economy and every sphere of life. Talk about health. If you're not in good health, what is your productivity as a nation? Talk about minor kidney failure of young persons who live quite close to these mining areas. And not even just close to, those of us who consume food products that come from these areas. When scientists test the food, it's not great. Levels of mercury, all kinds of unpleasantries. Talk about mothers that are giving birth to babies with deformities. Doctors are telling us that this is closely linked to mining activities, illegal mining activities, the rise of Galamsey. Talk about how it's also affecting the food crops we're seeking to export. Other countries, China has found a way to manufacture their own cocoa. You have it growing naturally here. It is being polluted. A time will come, you take yours to the world market, and they'll say, we don't want this polluted, poisoned cocoa of yours. We're getting it from other sources. I don't really know what else, the people want to hear, or want to see, or want to feel before we really understand that things haven't changed overnight. You're not going to get the waters back to where they need to get to overnight. We're already on the back foot. We're working against time, and time is not on our side. Perhaps maybe, Mawana, it's time to reignite those conversations with scientists so we can get a true state of the affairs. If you ask the politicians, they will tell you a different story, a separate story, but this is something that is still very much a crisis. Those that called for a state of emergency yesterday, do you not believe that it's necessary today? Is it something that we should be pushing for and clamoring for? The citizenry also need to do a lot more. We need to let officialdom know that they work for us, work in our interests, work for our benefits. What are we also doing as a people? These conversations simply cannot trail off. But are we going to play that report?
Yes, we're going to get into it. Ibrahim, I think this is what we... Right, let's just get into the report, right? Ibrahim Abubakar returned to the area where the crash happened and put this report together.
It was meant to signal a new chapter in Ghana's fight against illegal mining. Instead, it became one of the nation's darkest days. A Ghana Armed Forces helicopter carrying 8 people, including 2 cabinet ministers, crashed at Sikamine Brofuedru in the Ashanti region while en route to the launch of the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program in Obuasi. The program continued as officials waited for their colleagues to arrive. Then came the devastating news. The helicopter had gone down. Within hours, the worst fears were confirmed. All 8 occupants had perished. Among them were Defense Minister Dr. Omani Buama, Environment Minister Alhaji Murtala Mohammed, Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Munir Mohammed, Deputy NADMO Director Samuel Abuaje, NDC National Vice Chairman Samuel Sapon, Squadron Leader Peter Anala, Flying Officer Chuman Pedu, and Sergeant Enes Ado. 12 months after the tragic incident, we returned to Sikamine Brofuedru. A year ago, this peaceful village became the focus of national attention after a military helicopter carrying 8 distinguished Ghanaians crashed nearby. While life has gradually returned to normal for residents, the memories of that tragic day remain vivid.
Mekai has a year, is see ya ne bombo. Any me swam in Yamadium Cassimi Shemichi and Ambo, maybe Surse, meaning Sabia baby at the end would be a bit me a bombo a baby. I bet to me. Me will Fipa and Casimir be fair number. The beer was a Mekai. The first who be a was a Mekai. Who credit would be a na Mekai, a dano. Impose a plane binam surana helicopter be. Sometimes we do Ukrada helicopter bessin a call boasin in Patemu. Mimi Hunisana, not Maria Ho, or Sadano.
We traced the same journey to the crash site to see what remains. After more than an hour's trek through the forest, remnants of the military helicopter are still scattered across the crash site. Twisted pieces of metal remain where the aircraft came down.
So when you hear what we are, Sabiana praying the Bashayano, and Ama Hanuanina woo, Ama Hansu Astati Efu.
The smoke has disappeared and nature is gradually reclaiming the landscape. Residents also say promises made by government to support the affected communities and the 13 young men who assisted in the recovery efforts have yet to be fulfilled.
I'm not sure. Say, it's commanded before the day. You're crying. Omokonwa ambema contractor asa abaso. Empire ya contractor no ama fini. Oshe bobi mu se community center ekuro yimi enu nyina no community center ayeyo no abande be no aso yasene hwa mo ama ndi de omba bane ye kan ne de ya me anim de eheda ma so
yesere mpenfo no boys na mo be share ebo no ye wo fie adwuma na mo share ebo so mo be fa adwuma no mo fo bia yakwa medical saba mo share ebo se mo fa service ni mu e bia military fire service and other service ni nyina say mpo on qualify na say bia oye kuani and say aba no so asena ye okuku fo kura metumi aso mu aso asem waye no so ye hu hwe.
Every person here may lessen the headlines, but it cannot erase the memories. For many here, Sikamine Brofuedru will forever be known as a place where 8 lives were suddenly cut short. A place where families received news that changed their lives forever. And a place that will be remembered as the scene of one of Ghana's most painful tragedies. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News.
Was Ibrahim's report on a year on after returning to the place. We'll get into sports, the very latest from the world of sports. Ori Kwampofu will do that for us, after which when we return, we'll have a bit more for you here on the show. So stay with us. This is the 3FM Sunrise. We'll get into a bit more sports for you right now.